Hello and welcome to Getting Your Money's Worth, the show that focuses on value. I'm Judith West, and our guest today is Liz Weston, money manager and author of Easy Money. Easy money, wow. We could use that in today's world.
Exactly, right. Big promises.
Big promises.
I try to come through.
Okay, well, Liz, I want to get right to it. Yesterday's Wall Street Journal talks about the American and his or her finances. And there are statistics that say the savings rate in this country is close to zero. Mm-hmm. Credit card debt and debt in general is to the moon. And over 50% of Americans feel that their financial condition is fair to poor. Mm-hmm. So it seems to me that that is a scenario that begs for easy money. What do you have to say in light of these conditions?
Well, I do want to say that things are not quite as bleak as they seem. That savings rate that you talked about doesn't take into account retirement accounts. Okay, so all that 401k money that's out there is not counted. Yeah, okay. But there is a problem with people living up to their means and beyond it. And what's happened is in the last 30 years, credit has just exploded. And it's hard for people who are in their 20s to imagine that back in 1977, fewer than half of the households even had one credit card, let alone the 7 that people have now running around in their wallets. Right. So things have really changed. And why I wrote the book was people have a lot of financial decisions to make, and they need to have it boiled down for them. It's not that you have one credit card and one retirement plan that your employer takes care of and one health care plan to choose from. Now we have 7 health care plans to choose from, and we're trying to figure out how to retire and how to save money and how to invest.
All right, well, let's take that apart for a little bit. I want to, before we go on to your number one suggestion, I want to go into this credit card thing.
Yes.
I have to say, I'm not a big Starbucks coffee person at all, because I'm not going to spend that much money for a cup of coffee. But friends of mine who go there tell me that they often see people buying a latte with a credit card. Mm-hmm. I know that kids order a pizza in college with a credit card. Mm-hmm. They have no notion. People have no notion how much that pizza or that latte is going to wind up costing them.
Well, there's no problem using a credit card for any transaction as long as you pay the bill at the end of the month. And I once got an email from a young lady who was asking me, am I allowed to pay more than the minimum on my credit card? She honestly didn't know. That was the way that she thought she had to pay, was just the minimum. So if you're paying it off in full, use your credit card wherever you want. Right. But that's only about 40% of credit card users, 30% of households overall.
I think those credit card companies purposely sort of send their credit cards out random, willy-nilly, because they make a lot of money on those interest and those late payment charges.
Oh, and it's not even willy-nilly. They actually target households that are already maxed out or have used 30% or more of their credit limits. There was something like 363 million credit card offers were sent to households like that last quarter. So
it used to be that we had to be leery of borrowers. Now we have to be leery of lenders.
Exactly. Well, it's really come unglued. The lenders are taking many more risks and much bigger risks than they ever have.
It's going to hurt, and it's hurting us all. Mm-hmm. But let's go back to your book. So you say your number one tip, which I have to say surprised me, for managing your money is to go online, mm-hmm. and that really surprised me.
Yeah.
So I want to hear your rationale for that.
This is the reason why I say that. If you wait for your statement to arrive in the mail, it's already too late. If you are monitoring your accounts online, you're going to catch fraud much faster. You're going to catch mistakes much faster. You're going to see where your money is going. If you wait for that statement to arrive in the mail, many days have already passed.
But don't people know that they make whatever they make, $25,000? They know what they earn monthly. They earn $2,000 a month or $3,000, and that they're overspending when they're overspending. Do you really have to go online to have it proved to you?
Apparently they do. A lot of people have no clue that they're overspending or that they shouldn't be using credit cards to extend their incomes. That's what they're doing. A lot of people have no idea where their money goes, none whatsoever. And if you go online and use the online resources, not only can you track your money, but you can find better deals to get, like better rates on your phone.
We certainly, I have to say, I believe what you say, because it wasn't long ago I was going down in the elevator of my own building, and apparently a young woman had come from an interview, and whatever her salary offer was, $30,000 a year or something, she was having a very hard time discussing it with her boyfriend how much that would be a month or a week. She didn't have a clue how to take a calculator out and figure it out.
Exactly.
We don't do a very good job, Liz, of teaching financial literacy in schools.
Unfortunately, we don't. Now, there's a statute of limitations on how long you can blame your parents or your school for not teaching you. When you turn 18, you got to get out there and start learning about it, even if you didn't.
So let's go through it. So put everything online, and then what?
Well,
that doesn't keep you from spending more than you make.
No, it absolutely doesn't. And one of the things I wanted to add, though, when we were talking about the online thing, is there's actually more security online than doing everything offline. Yeah, you have statements going back and forth in the mail. Anybody can intercept those. And we're very comfortable with checks, writing checks.
Yeah.
Everything a thief needs to raid your bank account is on every single check you write. There's the routing number, there's your bank account number, there's your name, there's your address.
Don't banks have to check signatures and things like that?
Oh, no.
They don't do that anymore, right?
No, and if you've ever had your bank account raided, it's amazingly difficult to get things straightened out. It's all automated. Everything is automated.
I'm always afraid that it's going to crash on me and I'm not going to be able to know what I'm doing.
Yeah, it takes a little trust to get online, but people do trust their banks. And banks tend to have very good security. So it's a good place to start if you're venturing out into the online world.
You convinced me. I'll put my stuff online.
Okay.
But then I still have responsibilities.
Absolutely.
What's my next responsibility?
You very much have to track your spending. People need to know where their money's going. And you can do it old school. You can have a pad and paper and write everything down that you spend. There's also some online solutions now. Mint, Gizio, Wasabi, Quicken now has a Quicken Online that will automatically pull your transactions from your credit card issuers and from your bank, put it all in one place, and then show you this is where your money's going.
Do you like debit cards?
I do and I don't.
What is a debit card anyway? Let's tell them.
Well, a debit card is basically an ATM that you can use like a credit card. So you can use it with a PIN number to make a purchase.
But you have to have the money behind it.
Yeah, well, that used to be true and no longer because banks have found out they can charge you a bounce fee. They approve the transaction even though you don't have the money, and they slap you with a $30 bounce fee. So it's just like a check that's insufficient funds. Exactly. And in the old days, it was actually hard to bounce a check. It would just go back to the retailer, and it was hard to do a point of sale or a debit card transaction that wouldn't go through. If you didn't have the money, they'd stop it. Now they let it go through and slap you with a fee.
Yeah. I'm amazed, Liz, at the amount of money people waste on these ATM machines.
Oh, and Bank
terrible.
of America just raised it to $3.
Yeah, why can't, I don't get it. Why can't people figure it out? I guess I'm from another world.
Well, it's a laziness
tax.
It really is. I don't want to go the 3 blocks to my own
bank.
ATM machine. Yeah. And people should know, and probably do, that they could go to a pharmacy or drugstore, grocery store, make a transaction there and get $40 or $50 back for free.
Oh, really?
With no fees whatsoever.
Really?
But again, it's the laziness thing.
Okay.
It's there. I want to get my money. I want to get going.
So we have a society that's very used to convenience. We have a society that's used to spending a lot of money. We have a consumer that consumes. But things are changing. Times are changing. Unemployment rates are growing. A lot of jobs that we used to depend on don't exist in this country anymore. There has to be some kind of a sea change in people's psyche about the home is no longer the private piggy bank.
Yes.
There has to be some kind of a sea change in people's thinking about managing their money. You're an expert in this. How are we going to do that?
I don't know that we're ever going to change the tide completely. And I do want to point out that this idea that, all Americans are under the burden of credit card debt, that's false. The average American does not have $9,000 of credit card debt, or whatever that statistic is.
Exactly.
Most American households have no credit card debt. So actually, they're doing okay. And of the 45% or so that do have credit card debt, the median amount is somewhere around $2,200. So it's not huge amounts. It's a very small portion.
So things are better than we're led to believe.
Yeah, exactly. I think now that we have some retraction, I think some of the credit card companies are going to be pulling in their horns a little bit, maybe lowering the credit limits.
And that might be good in general.
It could be good for both for the economy so that we don't get so crazy and out of control, and also for the people that it's happening to. It's not going to feel good, but people have to learn to live within their means at some point.
Yeah, I want to ask you about another topic that's very very, very important and high in people's mind. Retirement. When should you start saving for retirement?
10 years ago.
10 years ago.
Whenever you started, 10 years before. No, I don't want to scare people, but as early as possible, and you need to keep going. And that's the thing that the thread that people lose.
And how long should you plan for? I want to tell you,
the hard thing.
I want to tell you something. I don't know if you know this. I was amazed. Last year, Hallmark sold 85,000 happy 100th birthday cards.
Wow, that's extraordinary.
Is that a statistic?
Wow, that's amazing.
You know, the biggest fear of people with retirement is that they're going to live to see the well run dry.
Exactly. They're going to outlive their money. And that is a definite thing to be worried about. I mean, if you look at the old financial planning, they basically had everybody living to 85 and then dropping off the planet. Now...
Well, these pensions thought that people would live to 65.
Yeah. And now people are living regularly to 90 and beyond. And I went on to our site, MSN has a life expectancy calculator, and I put it in everything, and it said 102. And
For you?
Whoa, yes.
Oh, wow.
Good genes, you know, and good habits, and then just luck. But it's, you know, you do have to plan for a longer retirement.
As I read in somebody's ad, and I like to quote, bald, helpless, and broke is how to start life, not finish it. Right.
Oh, I love that. That's great.
You'll use that again. Right?
I will. I'm going to steal that.
So retirement. When should you teach your kids about money management?
Well, I have a 5-year-old, so we're going through this ourselves of what to teach them. And one of the best pieces of advice I got was start them on an allowance as soon as they know that money buys things. So our little girl started with an allowance at 3 years old. And it's hilarious because half the time she didn't remember to ask for it. And then at 4, we started the concepts of saving. I want her to know that every dollar she gets, a dime at least, should be put into savings. Yeah. And, you know, she struggles with these concepts. They're very hard. And also, we talk about charitable donations. And she really doesn't get that. Why should I give my money away?
But that reminds me of something I read in your book. You say in your book, this concept, that people tend to very much underestimate the value of saving, the growth in money, as well as underestimate the cost of debt. It used to be that money doubled in 7 years. Is that still true?
It depends on the interest rate you're getting. It's rule of 72. Whatever your interest rate is, you divide that into 72, and that will tell you how many years. So if you...
It seems like it's with the way the interest rates are these days, it takes longer than 7 years.
Yeah, definitely. If you're only getting 5%, it's going to take longer.
Okay, so in summary, you're saying get your stuff online, look at it, monitor it, pay attention to what you're doing, and if you see that the squeaky wheel is starting to squeak, that you're spending a little bit more, cut back.
Exactly.
Cut back on some of these things. You know, it is amazing if you really think about cutting back, how much you can cut back.
Yeah, if you just have the mindset that I'm going to do whatever it takes to make my budget balance, you will find hundreds of ways to cut your spending.
And also, to tell you the truth, Liz, really, people in debt, life is much tougher for them than it has to be.
Exactly. There's so much anxiety and stress.
Not to say that we don't live in stressful times anyway, but it's a whole different level of stress too.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for being on the show. I liked your tips. One thing I liked about your book is it's very practical. Very easy. It's kind of like a workbook. Very easy to follow through. Thanks for being on the show. You're watching Getting Your Money's Worth. I'm Judith West. Our guest was Liz Weston. And her book will tell you how to simplify your finances and reduce your stress. Thanks for watching. For more value, watch GettingYourMoney'sWorthNYC.com.